Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, Tiger Tank 1-2, however you want to call me, I don't really care. And today we're going to be taking a look at the ISU 130. Actually, this is going to be basically first look at a premium tank, and this is probably going to be the way I will handle a lot of new releases, new premium tanks that come out, and I'll just kind of talk about them like this and then play a live match with commentary and then kind of give a verdict on the vehicle itself. Now, basically, with a lot of background information, excuse me. I've played the ISU 130 for a while. Actually, not for a while. I mean, it's kind of semi-new. This is a vehicle that was previously gifted to beta members very, very long back in the days, and now they're selling it. So, yeah, that's a punch in the face to all the guys who kind of got this vehicle as a very special reward tank. This is now basically being sold on the North American server. I'm not sure if it's being sold on the EU server, but probably it will come anytime soon. And basically what it is a ISU 152, except take away the 152 and replace it with 130. Now we all know that the numbers usually at the end of the Soviet tank destroyers mean the caliber or their designation, like the object. But with the ISU line or the SU line, it usually was the caliber of gun that they were talking about. This time around, we are running a 130mm gun. Other than that, basically the vehicle is identical to the ISU, except for maybe some statistics on the speed, hit points, and some other slight values like ground resistances. But that is all going to be discussed very shortly. But first, let's take a look at this vehicle. Now, we have kind of a camouflage and paint all over it. But what I think looks really cool is the gun muzzle. If we take a look at its front right there, it looks a bit different. It's less rounded instead of just being, you know, basically the gun and its hole. It's also got the muzzle at the front, which looks pretty damn cool. Looks very special, but other than that, it's basically identical to the ISU 152. So, 130mm gun, you'll be expecting some changes in the characteristics, right? Firepower, maybe higher rate of fire because it's not a 152mm gun. Less penetration because it's a lower caliber gun, and maybe, I don't know, better aim stats, better dispersion values. So what I can tell you right up front, if we take a closer look, is that you were right on all the occasions, except for actually no, you were right on all occasions. The big difference is that with the ISU 130, you get some pretty nice gun elevation and gun depression angles. 8 degrees of gun depression, that is a very, very unique trait for Soviet tank destroyers especially. But since most of the Soviet tank destroyers are rather flat, I mean, yeah, 8 degrees, it doesn't really matter if you have 100, I don't know, 10, 12 degrees of gun depression. It still is nice to have 8 degrees of gun depression. You'll be able to crest some ridge lines and not expose yourself as much as other vehicles have to, like the ISU 152. But other than that, it's just one statistics that's a little bit different. Looking at the thing that will probably shock most of you players and users of this game is the amount of penetration that you have with the standard AP rounds. Well, 250mm of pen, you'll be thinking, what the hell is going on, right? 250mm of penetration with standard AP rounds. That is on the very low end spectrum of any tier 8 tank destroyers. If we take a look and compare it to the Charioteer at tier 8, the British tier 8 tank destroyer, and we take a closer look at its top gun, which is the 105mm AT gun LT, which is actually a tier 10 gun, it gets 268mm of pen. Even the standard, the average, like the first gun you unlock, the 20 pounder, gets 226mm gun, 26mm of penetration. Then the tier 9 version also has 2026, but still, it's better than the 130mm gun. Although the 130 does have a larger caliber, or it is a larger caliber, and thus fires higher, larger rounds, it only gets 250mm of penetration. And that is the big backdrop of this vehicle. The pen is atrocious. If you're going up against tier 10s, and you will be going up against tier 10s, don't try to penetrate them frontally. It's going to be very awkward doing that. The rate of fire, on the other hand, is very nice. It's close to that of the RHM Bosic. And also, the DPM shows you 3000. That's pretty damn neat. I think that's 400 or 500 more damage per minute if we compare to the ISU 152. And also the aim time, 1.97 seconds to get a fully aimed in reticle, and 0.35 meters at 100 meters dispersion is pretty damn nice. Survivability, on the other hand, you lose 200 HP that you have on the ISU 152, only 1000 remaining now on this vehicle. 90mm of frontal armor, 90 on the side, 60 on the rear. It's an ISU chassis, it's the same statistics, so don't expect to bounce anything at tier 8, tier 9, or tier 10. Only some very lucky shots from maybe tier 6, tier 7 up. Like tier 6 and tier 7 down, excuse me. Which is tier 7 and tier 6. Then the speed. Now this is also not the fastest. It's slower than the ISU 152. Clocking it at 38 kilometers per hour going forwards, 14 kilometers per hour going backwards, but it does have 10 degrees per second higher traverse speed, 31.26, which is actually decent for Soviet tank destroyers. If you've played the Object 704, if you've played the ISU 152, you'll know they turn like really slow motherfuckers. And it takes you so long to get your vehicle turned around once in a circle, and it's just annoying. Once people start to, rush you and you have a light tank on your side, it's game over for you because you can't do anything. Now the concealment stats, obviously because of the equipment I'm running right here, I'm not running any gun rammer, vertical stabilizer, or vents, which probably all would benefit this tank. I mean, large caliber gun rammer, that is going to obviously give you a higher output, higher DPM, and same goes with gun lane drive. You're going to be more accurate even, and it's going to take even less time to have a fully aimed in reticle. And I've just basically put in the general equipment that you have laying around that you can still take away, which is camo net, binoculars, and the very mighty toolbox, which has saved me quite a few times, not on this tank but on other vehicles. So spotting and concealment actually aren't too bad. Like spotting with the crew I have right here, 497 meters, that is decent with the binocular equipped. If we take the binocular away, it's probably going to fall down to 400 meters average almost. That is still decent in my book, but yeah, it's not supposed to be a spotter. You're supposed to be sniping. So what's special about this tank? Now the specialty of this vehicle is its gun has very high damage output, very high potential damage. If you manage to pen, like this is a huge exclamation mark. If you manage to pen someone, you'll be able to do a lot of damage. Now the thing is, you probably think like, well, whatever, I fire premium rounds, doesn't matter. I have so much credits running around. I don't care. So I'm gonna be fueling in like 4 AP rounds and 17 premium shells. But wait a minute, what the hell is this? This is a premium shell, right? Where's the APCR? Where are the heat rounds? Well, turns out you just got played. I didn't know that either when I bought this tank, but the premium rounds in this vehicle are basically old school premium rounds. What does that mean? Well, it means that these premium rounds troll you. They do more damage, but they have less pen. Basically, the other way around that Wargaming wants to do the system. Less damage, same pen, but like 30% damage drop off. But this time around, with the AP shells that you have, which only have 187 millimeters of pen, you're going to be able to do, I think, well, let's face it, 427 to 713 damage. 713, that's more than the average damage on the 152 millimeter gun, which is 650 average alpha damage. Or you'll be able to do 367 to 613 damage with the standard AP rounds. So that is 100 damage more, almost, in most of the cases. And the thing is, if you're playing against some low tiers or tier 8s with no amount of armor, well, no problem. You can load the premium shells and just dish out the pain without an issue. But against tier 10s and against those very heavily armored tier 8s and tier 9s, you're going to be looking down the pipe without any real strong evidence of any sort of good pen. So, the high explosive rounds are pretty trash, 65 millimeters of penetration. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be enough against Guerrilla, all the German tank destroyers, the super light ones, and light tanks. But other than that, that's the reason why I only have 4 and 4 on both these accounts, or like both of these channels, and 17 rounds of standard AP. Now, this is old school premium vehicles, right? This is old school. Same as the SU-100Y, which is another vehicle that has the exact same game type. The premium ammo does more damage, but has less pen. But since you're playing against tier 8 vehicles only, that doesn't really matter that much. So is it going to be completely useless? Now, that's your question. Like, if it doesn't matter if you have like 8,000 DPM, if you can't pen them, what the hell are you supposed to do with that? Well, that is going to be the awkward thing to look at in this game. Let me just turn down the sound volume. I actually had to reinstall the game once more because it kept on crashing on me, and I finally figured out what was causing it, so I managed to get around that. But back on track to this vehicle. We're playing, now this is live, keep that in mind, so if I suck, just, yeah, we're gonna see how this is going to turn out. Maybe I'm gonna edit this entire part out and just fuel you guys with gameplay that I have sitting in my replay folders, because I have some pretty nice games on the side, but I wanted to try this one, you know, a bit more casual, and not make it all like review kind of video type. So yeah, we're playing against some tier 10s, some tier 9s. This is the worst matchup you can get, basically. It's the what was it, the 3, 5, 7 template, and yeah, this is basically the worst matchmaking you can get. But the thing is, right now you'll be asking yourself, well, 250 millimeters of pen. I mean, even sometimes you bounce shots with your Scorpion G at tier 10, 246 millimeters of pen. Since everyone is just shooting APCR on that fucking thing, it doesn't really matter. But you know, 250 millimeters of pen, you really have to aim for the weak spots, and a lot of people just don't know the weak spots anymore because of the excessive use of premium ammo. And the thing is, now you'll be asking yourself, like, is it really worth it? I mean, the high damage output and all that kind of stuff sounds pretty cool, but what are you going to be able to do right there if you can't really, you know, dish out the damage and you keep on bouncing off these vehicles? Now, unfortunately, we just got spotted there, and that was obviously just to show you guys how vulnerable this tank is. We're already down at 665 HP, which is a one-shot for a T95 Type 4 heavy if he's firing high explosive ammo and pens us. The FV405 will always a one-shot for him, but yeah, you can see it's kind of a vehicle that really needs to be in. But unfortunately, this Udes has the bush that I wanted to use so very desperately. And what you just have to do with this tank is, in such scenarios, you have to slow play it, right? 250 millimeters of pen, you can actually work with that. I'm not shitting you. The reason, when I bought this tank, I didn't know that it had such terrible pen. If I had known that it had such terrible pen, I would have probably thought about it twice before I got it. To be fair, I wouldn't, because I'm a tank collector and it doesn't really matter to me. But unfortunately, we missed him right there. Probably spotted us as well. Actually, he didn't. So we got another shot. And right here, you can see the 8 degrees of gun depression, which is rather nice in these scenarios. We do not want to get hit from the side by the T-28 prototype, which we can actually shoot right here. And I mean, it still goes through a T-28 prototype, right? I mean, it was the side, but still, it counts. We got a kill, and yeah, basically just underlined my point. But, I mean, 250 millimeters of pen, what we kind of forget is, it is actually quite a lot. Because the penetration at tier 8 and tier 9 has gone up so astronomically high into the values that is basically kind of unrealistic. We forget that 250 millimeters of penetration actually does do its fair job. The thing is, as long as you hit the weak spots and the side armor or the rear. Now this is where this tank actually does shine if you manage to get into a position which will give you like the best flanking options, or you know, the sides of the enemy vehicles, which we unfortunately cannot show right now. You'll be able to do so much damage. I had games where I was able to do like 5,000 damage to tier 10 tanks while at their side, where they were kind of very much vulnerable, and they weren't able to do anything against me because I basically was just running the entire operation because I had the high ground. So unfortunately right there, we do need someone who can spot for us, or we can spot for ourselves, but I'd rather have someone spotting for us. And now we're in a very awkward situation. It's a 7-on-7, or no, wait. It's an 8-on-8 situation right now. They control some of the spots that we just can't get to at the moment. And we have lost less tier 10s, which is actually good. They have lost more tier 10s. But they still have a very dangerous tank destroyer at the back. And we're kind of in the middle of this of this bush, trying to support our light tanks if they spot anything close by. Turns out we just lost our Yak Panzer E100 to the T95, and now it's going to be very ugly. Because penetrating a T95, now this is going to be fun. With this vehicle, without having the ideal position, which is his ass, yeah, that's not going to happen. So basically what we've done in this game is, we haven't really done a lot, and this is obviously a bit of a downside of this vehicle. The amount of HP doesn't give you a lot of leeway, a lot of possibilities, you know. But the thing is, obviously, you're not supposed to be taking a tank destroyer out to catch 1,000 shots. That's obviously not how you're supposed to be playing any tank destroyer, except if it's the Badger. But what you can see right there is we still managed to penetrate the Centurion 7-1 with ease while shooting his lower play. I mean, still, you're still firing a round that it's pretty damn large. Caliber wise, 130 millimeters. That is a large round that you fire at people. And if it hits, it does a lot of damage. So, turns out this is just not looking good for us. My team is basically dead. Like, there are only 2 vehicles that have more than 50% HP, and that is the Yak Panther 2 and me. And once we get lit, we're going to be toast anyhow. So what this game now has become to a stalemate, excuse me, where we try to outdo the enemy team. Now, I really want to crest this ridgeline and take on this Centurion 7-1, but I know if I do it, I'm going to be toast. So I will just fall back and look to it that he doesn't spot us. Our scout, unfortunately, is just not doing a very good job. But you just have to accommodate. You know, you have to be flexible, dynamic, and get everything like as good as possible. Get the best out of each situation, so not throw this game immediately. We have the T-95 over there. It's not even worth our time shooting him. So we're just gonna fall back into this position, which is actually my new favorite place. I've had quite a few games where I was actually sitting back here and managed to turn the game around, but this time around I'm not really sure if we can do that. Our object 430 is basically that 4%. And now everyone's joining this place. Yeah. The thing is, sometimes with teams like that, you know, with like this, I've been thinking about, you know, just completely play this game wasted. But I don't want to ruin my statistics, so I don't want to play this game completely wasted. It's probably not going to end well. I might say some things that I regret later on, even on camera, so I'm just gonna stick to the old denial. Just forget the horrible things. This is unfortunately not a very good game to represent this tank, but no, it actually is. It's a great example of everything that can go wrong with this vehicle, where you're very limited because of the pen that you have, because of basically the HP that you have, and places on the map that you might just not reach because, let's face it, you're not the fastest vehicle, and if you don't have any support, you're gonna have a pretty bad day. And it's basically also a good show of how important a good scout vehicle is, right? Our batch at 12T wasn't really very active. He didn't know what to do, and I don't even want to blame the player. I mean, scouting is the most difficult thing in this game. It takes the most patience, and you know, it takes a very well-oiled team to be able to, you know, make it worthwhile. But if you can really get scouting done properly and you have the proper support, it's really the best thing in this game. It's the most fulfilling thing, at least for me, by a stretch. I love good scouts. So what we're gonna do right here is something very stupid. We're gonna go out there and just track the Poggetto 46 because it was actually a warning shot. I didn't want to kill him. And right there, I mean, 2 shots that we take. ISU 152 firing APCR at the later stages of this game. Completely unnecessary. And this is exactly the reason why premium shells need to be balanced somehow. Because, I mean, fair, with AP rounds he would have done the same amount of damage, he would have penned me as well. But it's just the usage, like how they just casually switch on APCR the entire time. And they don't give a fuck. People don't give a fuck about using APCR as their standard ammo because they have so much credits, and it just gives them the sense of, well, you know what, every shot that I just fire is going to be able to pen. It's just the general understanding of the people of gun mechanics. Actually, we did hit someone that wasn't spotted. The FV, it was a hit. Interesting, 537, see? That's a pretty damn nasty round to be taken in. But let's try it again. Sorry about my little rant there, but It's just how I see things. People that are just casually using premium shells without really needing them to use, or exactly the reason why premium shells need to be balanced. Now, the thing is, we can't really blame the players completely because it also is the fault of wargaming. Let's face it, adding super heavy tank destroyers that you cannot pen with standard rounds, like this bad boy over there, total piece of junk. If you want to hear my real thoughts about the Type 4 Heavy, I think it's the worst tank line they've ever introduced into the game. Absolutely no thought given to the entire fucking thing. Just add a freaking howitzer gun to one of the most heaviest armored vehicles in the game, and just absorb shit 24/7 while punishing other people without even having to aim. Now that's exactly where the noob kind of goes to. Like, this is my tank, yeah. This is where the player goes to that really just thinks, yeah, you know what, fuck it. I don't care. I want to do good. I'm just gonna take the easiest tank there is and just stand somewhere in the fucking corner and smoke people out. I think that's wrong as well. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that they have introduced such a vehicle into the game, that it still isn't balanced. If they're going to reduce the damage it does with the high explosive shells, well, maybe it's going to be salvageable, but I don't really see it. It's the one reason, it's the one place whenever I see a Type 4 and a Type 5 Heavy completely out of respect to myself, I load premium shells. Just to say fuck you to that guy who's driving it. So, I mean, right here, we hit the weak spot, you know, all's good. We still did the damage that we had to do. Now the accuracy 0.35 or 38, I'm not sure what it was anymore. But we still are going to be able to go through these tanks. We just need to know the weak spots. And one of the weak spots on the M103 is actually the top part of the turret, as you could see right there. Easy pen. And yeah, you know what? Okay, never mind. I thought RNG is going to lead that shot in, but I was mistaken. RNG hates me. But what you can see right here is just rate of fire. Maybe you don't really carry enough rounds. That's what I've noticed. Like, I was running out of AP shells in one game, but yeah, you do actually fire quite fast, quite rapidly. And the thing is, you know, since the pen isn't that amazing, let's face it, it is actually kind of balanced. That's the thing. If one thing is really good, the other thing is really, really bad, and then you kind of mix it together, and you kind of get this vehicle out of it, it's actually not too bad, because that means it's kind of balanced. Is it a lot of fun to play though? Right now, it's kind of a tough going for me. I'd obviously love to be able to do more damage, but you know, it's all situationally based. Like, if you have a great foundation, great position, you can actually make it work. Unfortunately, we already did lose 200 and what was it? 200 and something damage, or 200 something HP on our end. And there we have a T-49, who actually hasn't spotted us because the camo values are decent. Or my sixth sense is just broken. Hey, we actually hit the T-49, what? That didn't look like it was a hit. So, yeah. We're gonna fall back and see for ourselves. Yeah, now we've been spotted. So, Sixth Sense is still working properly, and we're going to be lit for a second here. And what we are going to do right here is, because we have so many vehicles on this corner, although they are not able to actually push or do anything other than take massive amounts of damage, we're going to fall back because it looks like the north is about to fall and it's basically gone. Doesn't look like we're gonna have a great time showing you this vehicle. It actually does have very good capabilities to dish out massive amounts of damage, and you just need to have the right place. Be at the right place at the right time, and you can make this tank absolutely worth your while. But since it's not as, I'd say, as flexible as the Scorpion G and other premium tank destroyers, I'd say it's not going to be as amazing or sell as well. It is really a tank destroyer or a premium vehicle of the old era of old tanks, where not everything had to be overpowered, where it was kind of special and nice to have something that was different and special. That's what premium tanks were back in the days. They were supposed to be something special, not the best. They were never supposed to be better than the standard vehicles. They were supposed to be special in their own regard and you know, do their own kind of thing, while providing you with premium credits and you know, crew experience trainers for your standard tanks. And I think that was how that's how it should be. That's how it was. So we're just going to press the ridgeline and get killed here because the game's basically over. You can just hear, I mean, it kind of sucks, such matchups, and that's why I don't really do live commentary gameplay most of the time when I'm kind of reviewing or looking at a new vehicle, because basically what's going to happen is exactly this. It's just something you can't really take into account. People are just not going to be, you know, winning every match you play. Unfortunately, sometimes you lose more matches than you win, but I mean, it's a game. Don't get upset. These people, some of them are new, some of them never really learned how to play their tanks, some of them never learned how to play the maps, some of them just don't care, some of them just want to have a good time, and that's all fair. So I think I've grown in that sense that I no longer want to get really upset randomly at people that just are playing this game, because it's not worth your time. It's not worth your time to start screaming at people that are not doing what you would be doing, because that is the reason why everyone is playing their own tank, right? So that everyone can choose their own path. And it's super awesome when everything kind of goes into place and intertwines with everyone, because it kind of this is going to be the last game, because it's super awesome when you see team play and a game which really works out because like some crazy plays you did with your team, and those are the best plays. Those are the best games for me, where everyone is kind of working together to try to get that win, like Arsenal did today against Chelsea. You know, working together to get to that victory. That was just absolutely magnificent. So obviously facing tier 10s again, now a city map, this is going to be quite awkward. Thinking about the penetration of this tank. But this is just, you know, one of those things, and I'm gonna be honest with you, $46 US, is it worth it? Well, if you can actually get, for the same amount of money, you can get let me think about it, a Scorpion G or a SU 130 PM. Those vehicles are obviously going to be a lot more competitive for you. They're gonna work out more, you know, in the sense of doing more damage, being very reliable in penetration, and being the top dog if you try to, you know, only run with high explosive anti-tank ammo or premium ammo. Those vehicles are obviously going to work in your favor, but I think this is a very specific vehicle that if you really super enjoyed the ISU 152, the Object 705, 704, like the old school tank destroyers of this game, of the Soviet tech tree, I think you're going to absolutely adore this vehicle. I know the pen is not ideal. I know that 100 and whatnot, like millimeters, 250 millimeters is not amazing. But look at that. We managed to pen a tortoise on the side. That is great. And the damage, 520. I know they alpha damage 490 on average for each one of those tank destroyers is basically standard for every other premium vehicle. But the thing is, back in the days when this one was released and you had the ISU 152, obviously with the very, very crazy 152mm gun, you would have like crazy amounts of pen, obviously, but we all kind of forget that you kind of save 7 seconds of reload time on this vehicle if you compare it to like the ISU 152, which is amazing. The damage potential you have with this vehicle is great. Now, you just have to find a place where you can utilize it correctly, and for us it's not the south, because frontally trying to engage these guys is not going to be our cup of tea. And since we're playing tier 10s, once again, it's not really going to work out in our favor. But I mean, look at this, 516 HP done right there. And he's dead because of the focus fire, because this team set up really nicely over here. That is what I'm living for in this game. This is exactly the reason why I'm still playing after 8 years. Dishing out the massive damage to the premium tank destroyer. That's exactly why I am still playing this game. No, to be fair, I think it's a very enjoyable tank destroyer. And you never have to feel bad because it's very much balanced. I know the rate of fire is lit. It's crazy. If you're going up against tier 6 tanks and you're a top tier, top dog at tier 8, you're gonna have a blast running this vehicle. It's going to look nothing like it's as if it's kind of balanced. But if you're running against those tier 10s, those pesky tier 9s and tier 10 vehicles, you're gonna have a difficult time, right? Kind of a challenge that I will take upon myself, a challenge that I will try to achieve. But I've enjoyed this tank before. Maybe I'm just a sadist or a masochist, whatever you call it in English, because I enjoy being challenged, even with my premium tanks. And this one's going to hurt, but if we find the lower plate, like we did right there, it's gonna hurt him even more. 491 damage. Now we have to be very careful of our HP pool now, since 2 shots from that guy and we're going to be toast. But I mean, 1,527 damage after 3 hits is pretty damn crazy. And the rate of fire, since we have fired, I think about like 5 or 6 times, and we kind of missed once or twice. Ricocheted twice of once the Löwe, once of the defender. It does all work out if you pay attention to what you shoot and how you shoot them. So the defender, what is the weak spot of the defender? Lower plate. That's going to be difficult. Now this is basically a very bad representation of tier 8 matchmaking, right? Very ugly representation of tier 8 matchmaking. But this position actually works out for us right now. We're able to engage them while they can't spot us anymore because we have very good camo ratings. Now it's all about object 268 version 4. Okay, he moved. So what we are going to do is we're going to move on them. I know it's not the best idea since we only have 600 HP, but you know, you gotta risk it for the biscuit. If you don't risk it, well, you're never going to amount to anything in this game. Risk is a part of this game. If you don't take the risk, you're not gonna have amazing games. That's all I can say to that. I've taken so many risks and it has not paid out so many times previously. Look at that, a standard AP round, we hit him right in the engine and he burns. Okay, fucking hell. Okay, keep on track, keep it right there. And we actually take out an Object 268 version 4 with a standard round, 250 millimeters of penetration, although it was a side shot. But still, I mean, this is mad. Like, just imagine, people would never play this tank freely because of the low amount of pen. Oh, come on. The Centurion just bumped into us and we weren't able to shoot. But still, 2,943 damage and 288 spotting damage at tier 10 is actually a decent way to go out. And that's exactly how I wanted this gameplay to end, this kind of introduction to the ISU 130. I think it's a fun tank. I think it's a balanced tank destroyer. It's not going to be wrecking everything in its path, definitely not. It has its drawbacks, like very bad pen, like low HP, not the best mobility. But I think if you have enjoyed the ISU 152, you liked the Object 704, you don't need a super overpowered premium tank to work, this can be your vehicle. I like it. I'm playing it, like, I've played it more times than I've played my freaking SU-130 PM something. That vehicle is sitting in my garage somewhere. Tier 8, what? Did I sell it? Oh no, that wasn't the premium. Let me check real fast. I probably played less, right? I think so. Actually, some premium tanks have never been touched by me. So yeah, look, only 6 games, 67% win rate, and 2,738 average damage. But I mean, the ISU 130 is just super fun. I like it. It's not for everyone, though. If you want to have very reliable pen, if you want to be able to dish out the max damage at tier 10, you know, be competitive at tier 10, tier 9. I think the ISU 130 is probably not going to be your main pick. But if you want to, you know, try out, if you like the ISU 152 and you want to always have a premium version of it, this is your vehicle. It takes some time to get used to. It takes some love. It takes some intelligence to play. And I think that is what makes this tank just work for me, because I like to be challenged even in my premium vehicles. And this is the last word I want to get rid of. Hope you guys did enjoy this kind of video. If you did, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. To add, and I'm just going to add it here real fast, is that obviously it's a premium tank. You're going to be making extra credits, and you're going to be able to train your tank destroyer crews of any Soviet tank destroyer. The thing is, since you will not be firing a lot of premium ammo, you're going to actually be like saving a lot of costs on ammunition costs, because the 760 credits per round kind of thing is rather cheap if we compare it. I think the other standard round costs you maybe 1,000 for some of the other premium tank destroyers, like the SU-130 PM, I think, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to check that real fast. Since those premium rounds, they do cost you 4,000 credits per shot, but at the same time, I mean, you will only fire them if you're kind of trolling someone, or if you're if you have some kind of very easy to pen vehicle in front of you, or you're able to shoot their sides. You'll be using premium ammo from time to time, but other than that, I don't think you'll be using as much premium as you would in other tank destroyers if you're facing tier 10s, for example, right? So that's actually a very nice thing to be saving on shell costs, and that still is like, for example, the shell almost costs you double the amount of credits as the standard shell costs you on the ISU 130. So you're going to be saving money on that if that is kind of important to you. I just enjoy this tank, so I just want to put that out because it is a premium tank, and it's important to note that. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.